How to be on the mind of a five sensory. We may get interesting feedback throughout our lives as six sensories from five sensories as to what they want in relationships. They may want to be free and not to get into a serious relationship, or be ethically non-monogamous, or maybe they just want to hook up. And then later, if we do get into a relationship, maybe they ask us for more texting, more initiation from us, more planning of the dates, and more things that they'd like to do intimately if we're intimate with them. And this laundry list of stuff comes up over our lives. It's like we think as six sensories we have to jump through these hoops. Like we have to be constantly looking good. We have to constantly be available. We have to constantly give people attention and make sure that they know that we care. And the thing about this advice is it's a little bit misleading. Five sensories like to give us advice to do things that they want us to do, but it's not actually what they need in order for them to think about us all the time, strangely enough. And the time when you can control the way that you interact in the relationship the most is in the early phases of dating. But the good news is you can still have some control later on. There are some commitments, some obligations that you may show up to as the relationship progresses. Having said that, one of the key ingredients to succeeding in a relationship with the five sensory is to let go of some of this feedback of what they've told you they want. Have you ever had that frustrating experience where you've gotten a laundry list of things that they want and then you did it all and then you realize that they broke up with you anyway and they didn't care? That's because five sensories tell you what they want, but not what they need, okay? So when they tell you what they want, it doesn't mean you have to be rude about it. It doesn't mean you have to be confrontational and say, that's not what you really want. Like, you don't have to say anything like that. Listen, and be polite and say sure, and I'll see what I can do. But keep it in mind that what they want doesn't always match what they actually need. What five sensories need from you as a sixth sensory is they need you to be busy meeting your own needs and living your own life rather than depending on them to meet your needs. They may say that they want to meet your needs. They want to be there constantly for you. They may even say they want you to call them late at night. But these sorts of statements are actually misleading. And it's not because the five sensory is necessarily trying to deceive you. They're trying to mold themselves into something that you would want as a sixth sensory so that you grow more attached. And it's just something to be aware of. In fact, what five sensories really need from us is not constant attention and validation, especially if they have been behaving badly recently. They don't need us to do every single acrobatic, intimate trick in the book. They don't really need us to validate their ego when they don't want a relationship. They don't need our attention in those times. What we need to do instead as six sensories is lean back and let go of some of these crazy expectations that five sensories have been placing on us. By the way, that doesn't necessarily mean we disregard their feedback completely. But what it does mean is we can't take it too seriously. We need to take this stuff with a grain of salt. And if they're acting really belligerent and they're not meeting our standards, we have to lean back even further. That's when we don't respond to their text when they're asking for an inappropriate relationship. That's when we say no when they're asking for something in the bedroom that feels inappropriate to us. We do not have to do everything that is requested of us just because it's popular in society and somebody else is willing to do it for them. You might think, they'll just break up with me and go with that person who does that thing. But what will happen is, it's possible that they might because it's really unwise, but you'll be the one that's in the back of their mind because you were the one who respected yourself and didn't just give in to their requests so easily. If you want to be in the mind of a five sensory, you can't be that person who is jumping up and down trying to get their attention, especially attractive five sensories. There is one in my yoga studio. He has a lot of attention from a lot of women in the yoga studio. I've seen them just talking and talking and talking his ear off. and getting his attention of like, I hope the yoga studio doesn't see this. But you know what? He seems like a nice person. So I don't think he's doing this with any kind of weird intention. But I know better than to jump up and down for his attention, because that's what all the other women are doing in the yoga studio. He's been quite warm to me. He's been quite kind, because I'm not bothered by all these other women jumping up and down and doing all this stuff, and I'm not going to compete for attention. What 5 sensories really need from 6 sensories is that we show up warm and calm. It doesn't mean we completely be cold to them or ignore them. If they say hi to us, say hi back. Respond and be kind when they're being kind to you. If they initiate something, be receptive to it. Having said that, what we don't do is any kind of attention seeking in order to really make sure that they remember us, because that's the way to be forgotten. That's what causes them to distance themselves from us. That's when we're going to get the awkward silence next time we see them, because we overshared or talked to them too much about something that is not interesting to them. One of the biggest life lessons we have as 6 sensories is that we have to learn not to betray ourselves. And that might sound really counterintuitive. Why would we betray ourselves? It's because we get told by all these 5 sensories and by the world to behave a certain way, to look a certain way, to get a certain kind of job, to get a certain kind of house in order to appear successful and attractive to the 5 sensory. And what we need to do instead is let go of those external expectations that are shoved upon us as 6 sensories and turn inward and realize who we really are authentically and live from that place, manifest from that place according to what's real and valid to you. And then that's when the 5 sensories are not going to forget who you are, because you're going to stand out from everybody else who's externally chasing what 5 sensories say that they want.